Hello. Hello, all. Here we are once again for another discussion about House of the Dragon. Dracarys. I'm using my extra Valyrian accent to say it when I
I
say
saw you try to put some
Dracarys.
stank on it. I
Yeah, I
can't do
tried.
it.
I'm Christine the Sphinx. Joining me today are my sisters, the Northern members. Introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. North Remembers here. Excited to talk about this subject tonight.
Acanes Valerian, also known as
Greetings
AK.
and salutations. I'm just here to talk about whatever these lovely ladies want to talk about at any given time, so let the convo commence.
Oh yeah, you know what we talking about? We talking about these two dragon ladies, these two dragon queens.
Two of my fave
Mhm.
dragon queens.
Yes, yes, yes. Rhaenyra and Daenerys. So, upon my research, I saw a lot of similarities that they have. So both are obviously fighting for the throne, trying to
Hmm.
sit on the Iron Throne. They both have rebellious, like fiery natures about them. Obviously, they're both dragon riders. They both lost their mothers in childbirth, and they. I'm looking at what I wrote down.
Oh
They
dear.
they both know the truth about winter. That's not what I was laughing at, but I was laughing at they both have incestuous partners.
I was waiting for it.
I mean, yeah. I'm
Oh, God.
surprised that wasn't number one on the list.
I don't know why I didn't put that first.
I mean, it's a family norm. It's a family norm.
It
What are you going to do?
is. It very much is.
With Rhaenyra, it was uncle niece, and with Daenerys, it's aunt
Nephew?
nephew.
Nephew.
Yeah.
You brother fucker.
I mean, technically, though, they didn't know that that's what they were when it happened. So
But
I could
she was still
somewhat
down
maybe
for
give
it.
them a little more leeway, but still.
That didn't stop him though.
No, they
No,
didn't know, but
no,
she
no.
still wanted it to continue, and that was crazy. But we had to remember how that was
Was it
normal for
crazy?
them.
She always thought she was going to marry her brother anyway. So
She
I don't
did.
That's why I
know.
said it was normal. It was normal for
Yeah.
them, yeah.
Not for Jon Snow though. He was like, "You're my auntie."
Well, for her as a Targaryen, she always knew she was a Targaryen, and that initially she felt like she should have married Viserys, and she felt guilty about that, right?
Okay.
She felt guilty about not marrying Viserys.
Well, I think he would try to. I don't know. I'm trying to remember that line, but there was something mentioned about him saying that he could have married her, but they needed to kind of, I guess, make more alliances, which
He
is why
needed the
he,
Dothraki army.
yeah.
And that's
Mm.
another similarity too. They both had to marry for power, but that's every
Indeed.
woman in Westeros. Like
That's
everybody has to
everyone in
marry.
Westeros,
Men and
Yeah.
women, yeah.
men and women.
You got to make those alliances.
That was a good list of similarities. But Dany didn't start out as headstrong. Remember, she kind of like she was beaten by Viserys and demeaned and very meek with him. And then she came
Uh-huh.
into her own. And then she was. It's interesting that Rhaenyra already started off that way from what we can see.
Yeah, Danny kind of grew into it. Like
Mm-hmm.
she didn't start off that way, but over time, after her life experiences, like her first act of defiance was trying to ride Khal Drogo.
Yeah.
Like she's already like starting off like, no,
That was the first.
me on top tonight, buddy.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
And then she got more and more confident and defiant with Viserys. That's kind of snowballed from there when he tried to get mad because she made him Dothraki outfit, and he was like, "I don't want these rags." And then she was pregnant, and he was trying to stab the baby or threaten the baby prior to the Golden Crown incident. So she really came into her own as those eggs were starting to come into hatching.
Of all the stupid things for anyone to do, you put a knife to the belly, the pregnant belly of the wife of the greatest call that has ever ridden the grass plains.
He was so arrogant. He was so arrogant.
He was
I don't
so
care how
arrogant
drunk
and
you
so
are.
full of
Nah,
himself.
idiot.
People like
And then
Illyrio
tried to
talk
beg
that shit
for
into his
mercy.
ear.
Yeah, he was like, Danny, Danny.
Danny, please.
Danny,
No, nah,
Danny,
bruh.
please.
You just threatened my child. You just threatened me. What did I tell
Yep.
you what's going to happen the next time you throw them hands at me? It'll be the
Mhm.
last time you have hands.
Mm-hmm.
The last time. All right, so we'll get into some questions, some topics of discussion. So let me ask you ladies, who has a better claim to the throne?
Easily Rhaenyra, in my opinion. She was named the heir.
I agree too.
I don't know. If we compare the day and age of each of their storylines, obviously no one in the current time thinks Rhaenyra, being named or not, it should be next because the whole difficulty of seeing a woman as the heir. But when we get into the Game of Thrones piece, Dany was the only living dragon left to be the person if the Targaryens were to take back the throne, if we agree that it was always theirs in the first place.
True.
So there were no contenders, and other than people that just wanted it because they were Baratheons or Lannisters.
Except for Jon. But that wouldn't, had it been from the beginning, that would not have been known for quite some time, if at all, honestly, because if some random thing would have happened and she would have been able to take power early on in the story, I don't know that Jon's parentage would ever have really come into play.
I wonder.
If she
Because
had
it would
taken
take a
power
few
early on.
things for that to be discovered at the Citadel.
Well, wouldn't Bran have told him at some point from what his path was? He was going to learn that eventually.
Years later, I think. But if Dany would have already been on the throne, would Jon or Bran have tried to convince Jon to usurp her, or just go and ally with her? I don't know. Bran can be tricky. So and I'm not sure that's Bran that we actually see at the end there. I'm still on the fence about that.
What do you mean?
I don't. I think it's possible he could have been skin changed. I don't know that that's actually Bran.
Really?
Like his demeanor is just so different from the previous seasons up until that point to where Uncle Benjen had to come and save him. Once he became the three-eyed raven, that wasn't even a full 180. That was just a completely different personality. Especially the way he acted towards Mira.
It seemed like he died inside.
Exactly. He died and someone else took over.
Yeah, I never thought about the possibility of being skin changed, but I actually felt like he became the three-eyed raven, whether that was blood raven or just the entity itself, and he was no longer the boy Bran anymore. And that's where to me, that's what I interpreted, that coldness to Mira, that kind of like, he was just he was emotionless. And
I think that's a mix of
like the knowledge overfill just took away his humanity and his brandness.
Because when you know so much, when you can see the past, the present, the future, like that shit changes you and you're not going to be the same. You can just turn into a husk of a person and just live out
I don't
your
think
days.
he would have influenced it one way or the other. I think he just was going to tell what he was learning as he was learning it.
Interesting.
And Bran is the one that told Jon about his parentage, right?
I think Sam said something first, but Bran confirmed it.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, honestly, I never went back and did a rewatch of season 8 because trash. So I don't remember all of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember too.
I was too traumatized by Dany burning them all.
Yeah. That was
Bruh,
such a big
I swear to God, I'm not even like a whole I hate season 8 person, but Dany and that shit she pulled off at the end was stupid as fuck.
It's not even that she did all of that, honestly. It's the way they said she got there. There's no way just not getting the D is going to piss Dany off enough to go crazy and start burning everything.
I think it was supposed to be the loss of the dragons and the potential that after everything she sacrificed, no one wanted her to be queen. No one was rooting for her as hard as she was fighting to save humanity. But I agree. I didn't feel like it was enough for her to turn into this evil. They didn't give her enough of an evil arc. The arc was too short.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere.
More than like 2 episodes.
I mean, she was a compassionate person that wanted to free the slaves.
Yeah, they should have.
It didn't make any sense.
Like
Bethany
all
Clark
of a
says
sudden
season
she
8
just
didn't
like
happen.
killed them all and just
I'll take a drink to that one.
Murders everybody.
Agreed.
Yeah, take a sip on that. Me as well.
Hi, everybody in the chat.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Ooh, Wildfire was in
the chat. Jackie C.
It was gonna be Wildfire. See, Wildfire would have made sense. And we did see a bit of Wildfire going off, but that was from the Dragonfire setting it off, which I don't think that should have happened. It makes more sense that Cersei would have been the one to burn down King's Landing.
That is exactly how I felt. I was super upset that she got to die in such a romantic, tragic way. And then I was upset that she wasn't villainized
I was
more.
So mad at that.
Like it was like she would have been the one to burn them all. She said it a million times. Like
exactly.
It was so like they switched who would have done that. And maybe it was supposed to be for shock value. Maybe it was supposed to deviate from the books so it doesn't go along with the books. But it was disappointing. That was the most disappointing part. But I did love season 8. I just hated how it ended.
The plot points were off.
Yeah, and it didn't tie up enough. Who went where? What are they doing now? Like,
agreed.
Yeah, I think my girl Arya just left on a ship, and I was like, "What's happening? Is she going to be faceless? Like, what's happening?"
Speaking of that, show me what's going on with Arya. I don't care that Jon Snow and Tormund are up north of the Wall, where supposedly y'all supposed to just be living good as wildlings now. Because the Night King was defeated.
So you want the Arya? You want the Arya sequel?
The misadventures. Put me on the high seas. Okay, they already took the Corliss show away from us, so we're not getting that high sea adventure. Give me Arya.
Arya spinoff would be dope
because Arya gonna be on there popping off.
Yep. I agree with Isaac Duncan.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like Jaime was supposed to Valancourt her. She never none of her
the Valancourt. What happened to that?
None of her prophecies came true. It was such a wasted storyline.
Golly, she never did. She never did get Valancourt.
Yep. And his arc was wasted too because they reversed his arc back to caring about Cersei. Like it was like, what the hell?
Yeah, because
he was supposed to boo up with Brienne, the tall woman.
You know, he was on his way, not caring. He was out in the Riverlands doing his thing, holding it down. Then all of a sudden, she got the letter, and he ignored the letter. But then, when I'm mixing books and show right now.
Yeah,
he had our girl out there in her robe, y'all, in the dead of winter, outside of Winterfell, in her robe, crying, talking about Jaime don't go. You don't do that to my Lady Tarth, okay? My Sir Lady Tarth. You don't do that.
She gave him her maidenhood,
For goodness sake. Brienne deserved better.
Maidenhead.
That's true. There wasn't a Valancourt prophecy, Isaac said in the chat.
And then the show, very true. Yeah, they skipped over that one.
Well, they let her be paranoid, but they didn't really give us a backstory as to why she thought Tyrion was out to kill her.
Mm-hmm. Which I thought was really stupid.
Yeah.
Again, they didn't set up their plot points correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, what you trying to do?
All right, so let me ask you guys this. Who do you think would make the better queen?
Pre-going Mad King, I would have said Dany, based on her arc before she lost it.
You said who was the better queen?
Who would be a better queen?
This is kind of like the answer I gave you when we talked the other day, Sphinx. And you told me this was the topic. I said they're damn near twins. Just there's only a few different aspects where they deviate from the other. Like up until a certain point, I could go either way with either one of them. Both of them were good until a certain thing happened that just hit them the right way, and then shit went off rails.
I'll tell you my thoughts.
So I don't know. I think I want to say, from what we've seen in the show, let's go with that. From what we've seen in the show, I will go, for right now anyways, with Rhaenyra up until this point. For Daenerys, since we've gotten her whole show career, lined up against that, Rhaenyra is better. Arguably, though, because Dany's had more time there. So, and we know a bunch of stuff is about to pop off for Rhaenyra. Because Dany didn't start off that great. There was a lot going on in the beginning when she took over from the slavers and she made all the slaves free and whatnot. She didn't put another economy back in place. So that kind of screwed up everything and everyone right there. Yeah. So that's not really good in your ruling fashion.
Yeah, that's Rhaenyra, not good ruling.
She understands the economy and she knows how to go through and work things.
And the politics.
Mind you, yeah, and she understands the politics. I will put an asterisk on that, though, and remind people that she's not this feminist that some folks think that she is, though. She's doing what she's doing because she thinks that she can do that, not because she thinks all women should be able to have that choice.
Be able to do that.
She thinks she's the exception to the rule, but only her, not everybody else. That's why she was popping off with Rhaenys when Rhaenys tried to get in her head when she was younger. That's what that conversation was about, if you missed it. But in her older age, she is a little bit wiser. So for right now, I'm gonna say Rhaenyra. She actually started off the right way, and even Rhaenys gave her props on how she's starting off, and she isn't doing the nonsense that Team Green was doing.
Yeah, after your explanation there, I gotta change my answer. I was impressed with her restraint as much as she tried to stop Daemon's crazy butt, and she did already demonstrate a lot more diplomacy and skill.
Had that been me and I had dragons,
yeah, I had to spit hot fire all over them. Pow pow pow.
Burn fire on all of them.
But she does have the benefit of being raised in Westeros, and Dany had Viserys's backwards ass stories, and there's it's an unfair comparison in some ways, but yeah, she did screw up every place she conquered, and she was really naive to how that would impact those people, how they would feel about an outsider taking their culture away and changing everything that they did. So yeah, she had a lot to learn, and she had 10 seasons to figure that all out, and
then true.
Or 8 seasons, 10 years, right?
My vote would be for Rhaenyra because of the restraint that she showed during all of this. Like it popped off, she got usurped. Like the Greens are trying to take over. She has every reason to be salty and angry and to just go send all them dragons over there and just go pop off. But she doesn't. Yep. She shows reserve. She thinks, she organizes allies, she gathers stuff, gets her shit together. Mm-hmm. Daenerys is always trying to pop off, and people are constantly trying to tell her not to pop off.
To stop. Even from that first time where the boy was killed because he had killed somebody else. I forget what the exact situation was, but the crowd literally was yelling at her like, please show him mercy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She still had him killed, and then was surprised Pikachu face when everybody turned against her and started hissing at her like, bruh. All you have to do was say, you know what, put him in a cell for a little bit, let him cool out, and we'll let the situation fade a little bit.
Dany was that person that was like, she didn't realize that she had to earn respect. She felt like she would get it just because she was named queen or made herself queen or conqueror. Yeah. And I think that was her shortcoming there.
She's so ruthless. And I guess that's that conqueror mindset, like bend the knee or else mindset that Aegon
that's very
had,
much what it is.
when he showed up. Yeah, so Danny very much carries that same energy. So and honestly, sometimes it's fair when you look at it. Like I gave them a choice. That's not fair. Never mind. That's not fair. I gave them a choice to bend the knee or die. That's not fair at all.
That
That's that
immediately
conqueror mindset.
that made me think of the Tarleys. But as I was watching the show, right? I mean, that's all I have to go off of. I'm trying not to mix show and book, just show. There was so many times where she got played and people just disrespected her that I was literally cheering at some of these acts, right? And in hindsight, I'm like, she was trying real hard, and she was a little harsh sometimes when she didn't need to be. Like, she didn't need to burn up. I don't think she needed to burn up the whole Tarly line like that. Like, because she let her even feel bad about it. But like, what did the son do? Like, what was he gonna do? Like,
okay, she gave him the choice. He could have walked away. He decided to stand by his dad. She didn't make him do that. As far as Randall, though, I definitely understand, because you know that dude wasn't gonna stop. He was not gonna stop at all. So you don't want to bend the knee? All right, bun fire upon them. That's just it. Period. Point blank. Now the son, yeah, I get it. She was gonna let him walk away, but he decided to stay with his pop. So I don't know that I could fault her for that. She was willing to give Tyrion that little caveat. It wasn't her first choice, but fine, whatever. Go over there. But he didn't want to.
It just seemed like Tyrion was constantly trying to talk her down. Like, all the time. Like, don't go killing.
And since when did she ever really need that much talking down, though? It seems like they just wrecked that whole thing. I think just to give Tyrion something more to do, it seemed. Because Daenerys is a lot more intelligent than how they portrayed her.
I agree.
For that last season. And I really didn't like that whole change around that they did.
The worst thing Rhaenyra did was laugh at a boy.
Yeah.
So Rhaenyra hasn't been so bad. It hasn't been bad so
far,
but
no.
It's only been one season. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only been one season. But honestly,
that's what I'm saying. Up until now is Rhaenyra definitely outshining Dany in the Queen department.
But even
we'll see.
She doesn't even get that bad. Like in the book, she doesn't do like horrible, treacherous shit. Blood and cheese was all Daemon.
What? Blood and cheese.
Blood and cheese. Did I say it wrong?
Well, technically, that was more Daemon than her.
Wait,
yeah, it was.
Who doesn't get that bad in the books? Dany?
No, so I think she said Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra.
Okay.
She does get petty. She does get low-key petty, especially where Nettles is concerned. But then again, she didn't necessarily raise a hand towards Nettles. She just ordered.
Man, so that's different. You gotta.
She sent an order for Nettles to die, but that order was not.
That had nothing to do with the throne.
That's what I'm saying. She got a little bit petty, a little bit in her petty feelings, which I'm very interested to see how the show is going to play that out, because there is that other fan theory that they weren't lovers, but that Nettles is actually his daughter. So I'm very interested to see if they go that route, and I'm really crossing my fingers that they do, because that's going to be
the daughter route.
Yeah. And I think if that ends up being what it is, that she's going to see it as some type of threat, kind of like Catelyn and Jon. And that's why she makes up this whole thing to put that order out that Nettles needs to die. But we'll see. I don't know how the show's going to do it.
Honestly, I'm just going to keep it real. I don't really think Daemon would cheat on Rhaenyra. I feel like they married out of love.
Well, I'm not saying that he cheats on her, but I think Nettles is already born.
Obviously, she would have to be at this age at this time. Yeah, she would have to be old.
I think Nettles is already born.
Yeah, she's already like what 16, 15 at this point. Mm-hmm. When we see her,
get no hug. Just see you cousin.
All right,
losers. I'm sorry, my baby cousins are leaving, y'all. Be back.
Baby cousins.
Bye, baby cousins.
Let's see what
I knew
this
I heard
says.
little kitties.
All
Did we
right,
freeze?
so
Get good grades
Isaac Duncan.
and be nice and all that good stuff. Get out. Okay, sorry.
Isaac Duncan says, I think in the show they will make the characters more dark. Daemon is more brutal in the show, and maybe the writers are waiting for future seasons to make Rhaenyra more dark. And I definitely agree with that. I agree that they're waiting for her to. Her pivot is the death of Lucerys, so she's about to change.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we saw
she's
that
about
on her
to change
face.
it all
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
I agree. I think that's why they gave
She's
her
gonna
so
get
many
way
times where she was
darker.
trying to show restraint in like politics and don't use your dragons if we don't have to. You know, she's not going to be that gentle anymore. She's lost her baby. She lost her baby this day.
Her
and
baby,
then she lost her son. Like, and
yeah.
And then somebody
You're
took her
right.
life.
Yeah,
Like, all at the same
baby
time.
and her son.
Yeah. If you thought Dany went crazy for somebody killing her dragons, this lady lost her actual kids.
Yeah, she's about to pop off.
Yeah. And now the other son, now he's all by himself, little brown haired. How strong?
Little brown hair.
I'm so mad at the casting. They didn't even try to make it light brown. They went straight up dark brunette.
Didn't try to make it ambiguous at all. Like, that's why I was kind of upset that they didn't make Rhaenys look the way that she was supposed to look, because it didn't necessarily mean that a Targaryen couldn't have dark hair. You know, that's happened many times before.
You know, because of the Strongs, because they had to set a standard that all Targaryens have the white hair.
Yeah, they
so
wanted
that
to
when
give
you see the Strongs with brown hair, you can obviously tell they're not Targaryen. Even though in the books there are plenty of Targaryens with dark hair. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing, but I mean, I get it. Lady Rhaenys is still the awesomest, so it don't even matter.
If she finds out it's going down too late, who knows but Daemon and her together in the last shot, so I expect her to just do it. What were you talking about when he said that?
Yeah, can you elaborate a little more on that, please, Daryl?
A little more elaboration?
Yeah, if she finds out what's going down.
Allison has this mentality, fuck kids. I swear to God.
Allison don't like her kids. Allison does not like her kids at all. Not a one of them. I understand that she jumped in front of Aegon and whatnot. She was trying to preserve the bloodline and the king. That's it. She didn't really care about him as her kid. That's not why she was there.
Even when she was sitting with Helena's playing with the bugs, and she just like
she can't stand Helena. She really can't stand Helena. Like, when he was younger, I think she was into Aemon, but now that he's older and is of his own mind and so strongly of his own mind and morals, she knows that she can't control him, which is why they couldn't let Aegon go away and disappear somewhere, because they can control him. They can't control Aemon. They know that already.
Yeah.
And poor Helena, man, I am so #save Helena. But I know she can't be saved in the story, unfortunately.
Nobody's safe.
I don't like any of Team Green except her. And I love the storyline that she's a dreamer that they gave her, because it just makes things so much more interesting.
Me too.
Yeah, that was cool. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Oh, here's another question that I jotted down. Who was more beloved by their people?
Ooh.
The people of Westeros, or their people in general?
I was about to say, yeah, they're people, or you mean the people in Westeros that stem from King's Landing? Which people we talking about here?
So if I say their just their people obviously is Daenerys, because she had the whole Misa situation popping off.
But
But
Westeros
also
wasn't.
Rhaenyra was the realm's delight.
When it comes to Essos, if you count those as her people, I would say yes, that they absolutely, even though there were some hiccups, they absolutely loved and respected
And
Daenerys.
the Dothraki as well, but Westeros
Exactly.
she never really won
Westeros
over
though,
her home.
yeah, not at all, not even a little bit.
Yeah, she showed up on
Rhaenyra,
Westeros and just killed everybody, so nobody's gonna love her.
yeah. Rhaenyra, that's somewhat tricky because she did have her fans. She didn't have the whole realm at a time, but she did absolutely have her fans. Now, before she became queen, well, yeah, she was the realm's delight. I mean, she was the heir to the throne. Well, shoot, can't use that because that's only in the book. I was gonna say, yeah, the realm doesn't know her as well as they should from the source material. Yeah, I guess is all I can say on that.
Yeah,
Because
I
in
think
the show, we only just now see her being crowned. Well, not being crowned, but being made the heir. But she's been the heir for years in the books.
Look at this comment. Who wants to hang out with Danny? Nobody.
oh my goodness, the Danny bashing is real.
I mean, is it Danny bashing or is it telling the truth?
Khaleesi of the
Oh,
Great Grass
no.
Sea, mother of dragons, first of her name. Put some respect on her name.
Breaker of chains, first of her name.
Titles.
Titles that all came from stuff she did in Essos, not Westeros. So I can't blame what the Westerosi.
Oh god, I would have hung out with Danny, so I might be a little crazy.
I would have hung out with her too, but that's because I know the sum of her parts, so to speak.
Yeah, she had a good heart inside, and then they just did her wrong, man.
They did. They really did her wrong on the show, man.
They turned her crazy for no reason.
I am so excited to finally see how the book is going to do her storyline, because I don't think that's what George is going to do, at least without without a reasonable arc to get there.
Book. This man is talking about it's going to be like another year or two now.
I've just been praying for him that he makes it till, it's a little selfish, but
he keeps pushing the timeline back on us,
long, healthy life.
George is the worst. He's the worst.
Like, bro, I get you busy, but you only busy because you keep taking on these new projects, my guy.
Yeah.
Stop doing shit.
New projects, because we need Winds of Winter and then whatever comes after that.
I feel like there's no excuse.
Yeah,
because we had COVID. We were locked down for like 2 years.
We had all the time.
And this man still didn't finish this book. Nobody can go
Jackie,
anywhere.
I'm with that.
Why are you not writing this book, sir?
Yeah, Jackie, me too.
I'm with Jackie on what she just said.
Chilling with Danny with a nice charcuterie board. Some mulled wine from
some fine wine. Oh yeah.
A nice red from the arbor.
Listen, bro, what do you guys think like SOC liquor would taste like?
Crown.
Wait, do they
Crown Royal? Different flavors of Crown Royal?
Don't they just
have
beer
they have more than wine.
They have beer. They have ale.
Yeah, they have ale, but I thought there were more things that they had than that. Or maybe they call it something different, I'm sure. But I don't think they just go around with wine and mead.
They had different foods that she was mentioning and things that they were offering her that she didn't want. So I imagine they had some interesting alcoholic beverages.
Yeah. Jesse said, I think Danny couldn't cook. Well, yeah, probably not. Why would she ever have been taught to cook?
She never had to. Yeah,
she's never had to be in that position.
She was either on the run and poor, or she was a queen.
Or she was a queen, or a Khaleesi.
There was no middle in her life.
Yeah.
She got it out the mud.
And when she was on the run, she was literally a tiny child.
Yeah. God, I would love to see
it provided to her, and then she was a cow's wife, and then she was a queen.
Yeah. So she never had to learn how to cook.
And then she spit hot fire.
Dothraki
Isaac
drinking
said,
fermented
I
horse
think
milk. Yeah,
Dany
they
would
can
be
keep
more
that.
liked and respected because she came from nowhere and freed slaves. Which I agree.
In
If that
Essos,
was
yes.
all she like, and unfortunately, she took a turn.
Uh,
A very unfortunate.
Why did that sound
none
like a
of
medical,
those actions
medical
hold true
diagnosis?
for Westerosi, though. The Westerosi can't even get on thinking on that level because that's something that they just don't care about. That's not a thing
Yeah,
they have to deal with.
that's absolutely true. But the ironic thing is that Ned, like the North, was really serious about slavery as far as Ned Stark's storyline
Very true.
with Jorah and having those couple of slaves he sold to make some money.
That's why the North is
But
awesome.
no one in the storyline mentioned any of the positive stuff Dany was doing because the main people we saw were the Lannisters who were afraid of her taking their power.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they knew she was doing good deeds, they wouldn't have cared. And the small folk don't care what's going on. They just want to have a regular life.
And also, it's the Lannisters who were saying that she's a foreigner coming
Yeah.
over into our lands who came from ancestors that were foreigners that came over and stole land. So,
Exactly.
fuck y'all colonizers, okay? I got no help in you.
Colonizers.
I'm starting to see that in some of the undertones in House of the Dragon, where you can tell some of the houses. I mean, I never really thought so far back as to how they felt before Aegon conquered Westeros, but you see it in the tones of the Seven getting stronger. You know how the Greens starting to put their sigils up everywhere, and I realized the cultural difference that shifted when the Targaryens came. Although Alicent isn't trying to like have her kids stop marrying each other and stuff, clearly I think the people will want to not be under Targaryen rule. And this is going to be so interesting how it all plays out on the show.
See, Isaac, you would think the people would have been happy with Dany taking over from Cersei, but them small folk in King's Landing, I don't know if you could really trust how they feel about anything at any given time. Because one minute they mad at
they
Cersei,
just go
the
whichever
next minute
the
they
wind
cheering about her. They too finicky for me.
No, they cannot be trusted. They're suspect as fuck. They'll just do whatever. They just want peace.
Yeah.
So whoever's in power, they'll just follow that person. Yeah, they're not trying to cause an uprising or revolt or anything. They're just like, okay, this is our king now. Okay, fine. Aegon, that's your name. Okay, yay.
Right. I did love how they made the small folk just look really confused when they brought Aegon up. They were like, wait, what happened to Rhaenyra? Because the king has said before he died, his daughter was coming. So
the king has said,
who's this guy? And why are we like everybody was looking at each other like, wait. And then one person started, they had to do the slow clap. One person started clapping. They were like, okay, because nobody wants to die. Of course, right. The king's daughter like right
claps, and they're just like, oh yeah, yeah, we're all clapping now. Okay, we're on board.
I mean, but that one part aside, that's like the one caveat I'll give them. Any other time, though, a lot of times you see the small folk of King's Landing, they finicky.
Well, yeah, they can't. I mean, they get hurt the most when all these people play their Game of Thrones. Like they're burning up their land. They have to go to war to fight for people that they didn't vote for. Like they just have to go. You inherit your liege. You have to fight for a queen or king you may not believe in, and then you go back to nothing and have to rebuild that. It's got to be exhausting to have lived in that world as a what do you call those families? Powerful house. You don't have a house. You're just like a regular old farmer.
House.
Yeah, just
like, my farm gets burned up every 5 to 7 years because of the change of command. Basically,
all my daughters get raped because y'all have a fight.
Pillaged. They take my cattle. They take my sheep. Take all my crops, and then we start over again. And then my oldest son is dead, and I'm trying to do this with my little kids. And like it's such a war-torn world that I can see why the small folks just go which way the wind blows sometimes, because what are they going to say? They have literally zero say-so.
Yeah.
unless they're strong enough to try to overthrow things like the Greyjoys, but those are almost always unsuccessful. So.
The Greyjoys are just bad at rebellions, especially because
But they got heart though. They be trying. They try.
I'll give it to Asha.
Greyjoys.
She's the one
Them
Greyjoy.
sweet
She's the one
babies.
Greyjoy I can get behind.
I love
Them
Asha.
sweet
Oh
little
my
babies.
God.
They keep trying.
Asha's that chick.
Asha was a G, man. The book
Like,
Asha was even
Theon
better.
and the rest of them though, nah.
Book Asha, when she was in the North, she kicked so much ass. I mean,
Facts.
as a Northerner myself, I was impressed.
Absolute facts. Absolute facts.
I was like,
You're the
damn,
resident Northerner.
that's clever, man. Yeah.
And there's a reason for that.
Arya chapter, small folk are wishing the Mad King was in power.
Yeah, because even though he was mad, they still weren't
A
starving.
peaceful reign. Yeah,
He was on some bullshit, but he was on bullshit with Tywin, not with them.
Yeah, that's how I feel. If it's interesting because the way the other powerful families say it is like he had to go, but in the perspective of the small folk, there was food, things were in abundance, women weren't getting raped in the streets. Like, it's kind of how I think it would be if Daemon was king right now. Daemon that I see so far, like he don't play no games. You're getting an arm cut off,
Yeah, like Daemon will do his dirt, but when it comes down to people getting hurt for no reason, honestly, you look at what he did, cleaning up Flea Bottom, and he's not for the bullshit.
Yeah.
He really isn't. He got them better armor, better weapons, trained them the proper way that they should have been trained so they could go in there and wreck shop the way they did. And a lot of people were mad about it, but I was like, you got a huge tourney coming up. There's a bunch of rich folks coming into the city. You don't want their people to get hurt because then that could cause a rebellion. So you got to go in and throw hands.
Yep, got to straighten them all out.
Daemon equals Batman. I don't think most people would appreciate that comparison, but I see what you're saying.
Jackie C said Victorian is so dumb that loves him for comedy purposes. I agree. Victorian was just like a loss, like a lump. I just pictured him being like strong for no reason. Yeah. Just empty up here. That's why Asha gets so much props. It was like a very low bar.
The Batman who kills. Yes, that is a very specific thing to say. Because if Batman actually did do a little bit of killing, then things in Gotham City might not have been as bad as they were for as long as they were. That's why I always give props to the what was the storyline? The one with the Flash going back and screwing everything up by saving his mom.
A Flashpoint?
Flashpoint? Yeah, when it was his dad that turned into Batman and he did go through and kill for nothing. That Wayne being Batman, I respect. Bruce, on the other hand, nah, Bruce, me and you need to have a talk. We got problems.
I'm so tired of Bruce and his little sad story.
Bruh.
I swear to God. If I have to hear this story one more fucking time.
And then you don't want to kill. Okay, you putting everybody in Arkham, bro. They keep breaking out of Arkham and killing more people. So what are you doing?
Just kill them.
Put them down one time. One bullet to the dome. Shut them down.
Boom.
And you never have to worry about that again.
Problem solved. It's obviously very easy to break out of Arkham. Everybody does it all the fucking time.
All the time. Sorry, y'all. We're uber nerds like that. We go on these tangents. I apologize. I started it. My bad. I'm sorry, Sphinx.
I just started taking my notes now.
We're on a nerd tangent. It's fine. I'm with you.
Yes,
I agree.
Flashpoint is Flashpoint Paradox. It's one of my favorite comic storylines that they did.
In the Titans TV show, Batman kills the Joker. Oh, he does.
Oh, yeah. I think I did see that one. Played by Jorah Mormont, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Jorah Mormont. Yeah, kills the Joker.
Oh, yeah, Jesse, which wives were you talking about? Were you talking about between Rhaenyra and Dany who would make the better wife, or were you talking about someone else? Because arguably, I don't know that I could pick one over the other.
I would say that Rhaenyra was the better wife, given that she let her husband. She let her husband be happy enough, and then she fake killed him so he could go be happy with his boo.
True,
If
true.
you can mercy kill
Very
your
true.
man, if you can
Very
mercy
true.
kill your man, you're a good wife.
She dropped a body, faked his death, let him get a boat, get a little skiff out of there.
Okay, see, and I feel that, but I also feel what Sphinx just said.
What?
If you can mercy kill your mans, and you know he got to go, and Drogo needed to go because he was never coming back from that. Why let him suffer?
Yeah, no doubt. Danny loved the cow. Their love story was beautiful. Once it wasn't just the whole buying her and she was like a young child part. But I know she loved him, but I think what Rhaenyra did for Laenor.
See, and that's an arrangement they had from the very beginning. Like they were in sync.
But she did that for herself too.
But she did it for herself. But she knew it would have been painful for him to have to keep on sacrificing what he wanted to, and she could have really killed him. I mean, she could have really killed him.
Low key, yeah. She could have had Daemon handle that, and Daemon would have done it. But they
would have done it like with barely any urging.
Ned cheated on who?
Ned never cheated.
Ned didn't cheat on nobody. What you talking about?
You talking about Isaac Duncan?
Okay, look. You about to get a bunch of Northerners on your tail, bro.
The North remembers, okay? We all remember.
Right. Ned didn't cheat on nobody.
Who precisely?
Ned took that to the grave, man. He had a fake cheating with his nephew's son.
Fake cheating, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Kat thinks Ned cheated, right? Okay. Yeah, Ned do get blamed for everything, right?
But he took that one on purpose.
One thing Ned should have been blamed for, though, what was Jon's treatment? Because I'm sorry, I don't care. Even if her ire was off of you, Ned, you're the only one that she should have been given that ire to. Okay, not the baby that didn't ask to be born.
Yeah, he should have checked her about that early on. That made me hate Catelyn. It took me a while to empathize with her at all.
I still can't with her. Just as quick as you checked the whole Ashara Dane talk, you should have checked her attitude towards Jon. Easily.
Well, I was confused by that with him, with his character. He wasn't of the typical males of Westeros where you just tell your wife, shut up like Robert Baratheon and I'll honor you again with a smack across the face.
Yeah.
But he got really upset about the Ashara Dane talk, and I agree. Get upset about how her son, who you're risking your life to save his life, is being treated by your wife.
Exactly.
Even if, but I think maybe it hurt him enough to have to lie to her that he cheated on her, but that also wasn't abnormal at that time.
Never told her.
She actually wasn't even mad. She was just mostly mad that you brought him home, and you needed to tell her to
him home, and that he was there, and that is why he could never have told her. So many people have tried to convince me over our tenure of talking about Game of Thrones. Like, no, Catelyn would have spilled the beans immediately, just like Sansa did, specifically to take the shame away from her. Because she feels shame on that level.
I don't know.
I didn't feel like her shame was external. I didn't feel like she worried about what people thought about her. I felt like she was just hurt about it. Like, no one brings their bastards around their wife. Why is he all up in my castle? Like, what's happening here? But
except for Northerners.
If she knew, maybe she wouldn't have been so salty, because by all accounts, she cared about Lyanna, and she might have understood. Yeah, Robert is crazy. She knew Robert was crazy because she told Ned not to turn him down because of it. So maybe she would have understood and not been such an asshole to Jon, and he wouldn't have been such a mopey little, dreamy little young kid.
Right, specifically because he was being emotionally and verbally abused his whole life.
Yeah,
like, y'all give Jon a break. He has reasons to be sad.
Yeah, she was shitty. Like, he did grow up rich, but he grew up like lacking love. And then his father was like, "We'll talk about it one day," but never.
Right, and that one day never comes because there's only one Stark that ever went down south and came back unscathed, and that's because he was a freaking boss. And I can't wait to see him next season.
Yep.
And if you don't know who I'm talking about, I'm talking about that guy, Cregan Stark.
Great grandfather.
Cregan Stark.
Okay.
I can't wait. My boy went down there, chopped off some heads, tossed a few swords around, took his hour, dealt out punishments, and went right back into the north.
Didn't he hold down King's Landing?
Like he was some mystic northern magic wolf, and went back home.
Hold down King's Landing for a hot minute?
Yep. That's the
until
hour of the
somebody
wolf.
came to finally fucking claim it.
Yep. No, they already had the claimant there. He came in and said, "Oh, wait, y'all killed the king? What?" He's no Aegon fan, mind you. He's there to fight for Rhaenyra, but they killed the king in the wrong way. So he had to do something about that. And then he had to do something about all the other shady people around there. And he handled that. He made himself hand. He handled that shit and then resigned from the post and fucked off back to the north.
I like how you said he made himself hand and he handled that
He
shit.
did.
No pun
He
intended.
was not taking no for an answer.
I like
He
what you
came
did
in,
there.
wrecked shop, dealt out all the punishments, and went back home.
So he John Wick the whole situation.
Yes, yes. Cregan was the John Wick of the North.
All right, here's my final question to you two lovely ladies. Who did you enjoy watching the most so far?
Danny.
Can I suggest that we only look at season 1 for both shows, since we only have one season of House
We can
of
do
Dragon?
that. Yeah.
Okay, because that's too much to take in. Go ahead, Candace.
I still say Danny.
She stands by her statement. Danny.
Oh, damn, this one's kind of hard. For the growth, I have to say, for the growth of how season 1 started for both ladies and how season 1 ended for both ladies, I'm gonna say Danny, because that growth was bang, 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 bang. You know, first she's this cowardly little girl that does not want to marry this huge, scary looking man with all of the muscles, riding around and not talking at all. That seems to only know one word in English.
No.
In the king's language.
Is like you like this? No.
No, I do not, sir. No.
You know, but at the end, my girl is crawling out of a fire unburnt with fucking dragons.
Oh, titles.
Right. And titles.
Titles.
You know, the whole crowd bowing down to her. You know, she just, yeah. So
I'm sorry.
I love watching Rhaenyra's growth, but I gotta say, I give it to Danny for season 1.
It was a whole crowd. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I will say I really enjoyed watching Rhaenyra literally grow up. Like we saw her, you know, evolve from a little tween teen into a full-grown woman. Entitled brat, into a full-grown entitled brat. And that was cool to watch that growth and evolution. But hands down, Danny hatched 3 dragons. Like, come on.
Bruh. She went into a fire and came out unscathed, man.
Come on.
She literally stole magic from somebody that was trying to sing magic against her while being killed.
That bitch.
she burnt that bitch alive.
He said, "You will die screaming," and this isn't the last time I'll say that.
That's what I'm saying.
You'll never hear me scream. She was like, "I will."
Season 1, Danny backed
like,
up every
light the fire
that she made.
Light the fire. I'm walking in.
Boom.
What was funny though, I was laughing.
It's like, oh, don't go in the fire. And she's like, Jorah, calm down, bro. I got this. And she comes out, and everybody's just in awe, and everybody bends the knee immediately. That's how you end a season.
Yeah, she says, you think I would go in there to hurt myself? Like, don't worry. So she had this, like, she had her own level of arrogance it was exciting to watch in the first season, and it was triumphant more than we've seen. Right, Rhaenyra's arc right now is just straight up sad. Like, first of all, I don't know why she thought she could send her sons with this fickle community and just like they would respect them and respect guest right. I was scared when they first flew off to go do their politicking, and so at the end of season 1 for her line, House of the Dragon, I wasn't as excited as I was when I was like, oh my God, dragons just hatched. Like, because they all talked about how that was so long ago and magic was gone and we saw magic happen. So that
Yeah,
we
we've
see these
seen dragons
dragons
since
in
episode
Rhaenyra's
1.
story, but they're not using them in a magic. They're not like exciting right now. They're just kind of like the
Right.
decoys.
Because they're
They're there.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you just get on a horse. You're like, let me get
Yeah,
on my horse right now.
everybody has a dragon.
Yeah.
Although I will say there are some key moments where the dragons came in clutch and they were used in the right way that I very much enjoyed. Not a
I
lot,
enjoyed it.
but there were a couple of them.
And shout out to the CGI. Like House of the Dragon has not disappointed on any level so far. I even love the time jumps because give me more in a season.
Agreed.
I'm here for it. Like
I was waiting for the time jumps because I wanted them to really get into the meat of the story. So I loved how they did all of these time jumps.
Because initially I was not wanting to see like little kid Rhaenyra. Like we watched everybody grow up in the Game of Thrones story, but I just want more of the action where the war is actually about to start popping off. And the political conflicts and the weird foot fetishes that I didn't know I was going to see.
And I think they did it good. They left us off with that note, like it's about to pop off. Stay tuned, folks.
Lil' Kim Ray. What?
It's the jump off. It's about to be the jump off.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So I've long said that if I had the skills, the YouTube editing skills, I would have a whole version of Game of Thrones where hip hop songs were the score. Because at the right moments, it should have been more lit. So whenever I get the real time, I'm going to create every episode where it should have been like the right song at the right time.
I was going to say, you might want to check out my ladies from 1,000 Eyes and One, because if I remember correctly, Nikki does have a playlist on Spotify for Game of Thrones. I don't remember if she did them coded to every episode, but they're very good at picking songs to go with their posts on Instagram when they were putting out their discussions. Also, shout out to 1,000 Eyes and One, y'all. If you've never heard of them, go check them out.
Yeah, I got to check them out. Lil' Kim Ray.
All right, guys.
I love that Lil' Kim Ray.
That Little Kim.
Earning the title Mother of Dragons is major. Facts. And I think that's a very key distinction between the two. Is Rhaenyra didn't have to work for that. She, we started out her tenure with a dragon. Dany had to work up to that. She had to work up to being a dragon herself, and then work up to getting a dragon, bringing dragons back into the world. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, my final words are going to add to that. Overall, and I'm a super Dany fan. I feel like I'm a purist, so I'm waiting for House of the Dragon to really excite me more than Game of Thrones. And I'm here for it. I'm open to it. But currently, I cannot compare. They're not
doing it for you.
I just can't compare the two because Rhaenyra had a lot of privileges Dany didn't have. She had her parents to tell her how to be a queen. She lived in Westeros to understand how Westeros worked.
And
she was born with dragons. She was bonded with a dragon early enough to know how to ride one. She knew what to feed it. She knew how it ate. Dany had zero. She had Viserys bullshit, which was mostly about how everybody's waiting for him to come back, but he didn't impart a whole lot of knowledge on her. And when he did, it took her a minute to like recall what would be valuable. And so my final thoughts are, it's too soon to call who'd be better on most things. And they're so different in the beginning on what they were exposed to that it's hard for me to do that. But I'm rooting for Rhaenyra. I love her. I'm a super fan, and I can't wait to see her be pissed off and start lighting shit up next season. I hope not Dany style, but just like really a little less restrained and more using her power, because now she's a crown queen and there's a crown king somewhere that needs to be taken down.
Indeed. I like all of that you just said. Looking over to the chat real quick, Daryl. Sphinx, if you would allow, go ahead and ask your question. I don't think that would be a bad thing.
Yeah, ask it.
I'm curious.
Do it.
Jesse thinks Dany would have ended up warging. It wouldn't have been warging, would have been skin changing. Warging is only for canines. Jorah, eventually, you think so? Why? I wonder. I don't think Dany's magic power would grow that far. I think it would only be able to have that psychic connection with the dragons.
Yeah,
Now, if you want to talk somebody like Bran or Arya, that's different. That's different. They're both of them, Bran and Arya, are pretty powerful.
Or Jon.
Jon, I wouldn't say, only because when Jon and Ghost are on the other side of the wall, they can't sense each other. But Arya and Nymeria are across a whole ocean and half a continent, and they're still connecting.
I think that's the wall's magic versus Jon not being any less of a warg. But I think there was something in the wall, like how they have to go through that, where Cold Hands took them through that mouth, the little baby delivery panel.
Yeah.
So there's like magic around it.
It's part of a weirwood tree, isn't it?
It is, and so I think that's stronger.
I think it's also something to do with salt water too. But that's why I think Arya is more powerful than Jon, though, because while the wall is made out of saltwater blocks, the narrow sea is also a saltwater ocean, and that doesn't deter Arya, but it stops Jon and Ghost.
I never thought about anything about the water itself. I just always thought the wall was that barrier. He was like, I can't see him.
There are extra things with the wall going down. Yeah. So I don't know. That's why I really wanted them to come out with those prequel shows so we could actually see the building blocks of the magic for this world.
Yeah, like who did that? I mean, there's all those hero stories, and
why did they do it? Because I don't think it was like they said, the Maesters are all liars. I don't think it was the children and the North or the Night's Watch that built the wall. I think it was the others. Because why the hell would you build a wall of ice to fight and combat people that control ice? That doesn't make sense.
I always felt like they built it with ice and magic to keep the others and the people they would animate, the whites, out. And it worked, which is why the white dragon had to take it down for them to come through. At least in the story, in the show.
Ice zombies. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it took an ice dragon.
You got to fight fire with fire.
Take that down for the show. So that comparison, these are ice people made of ice, and they control ice. It said like they can do things with ice that men can't even fathom. So why are you putting a whole wall of ice there for them to manipulate? That just always seemed weird to me. I don't know. I need George to come on and give us some explanations for some of these deeper magics. I don't even need the Winds of Winter for that. You could just give me like a Fire and Blood or a World of Ice and Fire or something about the magic of the North, and that'll explain it.
Yeah, there's so many things about the magic that I'm curious about, like the Ghost of High Heart, like there's so many things that tie in about the Children of the Forest, and who was a child in the story. Was the Ghost of High Heart like the last of them? Like, is she one of their offspring?
Yeah, that's a theory that I champion. That she isn't a child of the forest. She's at least half child of the forest.
Yep.
And I do think Jenny and
she was a dreamer, so she could a green seer. And how does that tie into like the green seers, which I assume Jojen was? I mean, there's so many things in the story that I want to see how it plays out. Like, are they connected?
Hold on. Can we make that a thing, Sphinx? Can we do a discussion at some point about the magic of this world?
You want to talk
to do that for a few years. We just never got around to it because there was always so much other bigger things for us to discuss.
No worries. Candace is putting it into the notebook.
Could you please put that on the list? Thank you.
Magic of the world by region.
Yes, by region, because there's too much for us to handle.
We have to break it down by region.
About green seers and children and
and make no mistake, people. It is definitely by region. It isn't just the North or Dorne that has magic in Westeros. It's everywhere.
Oh, can we start at the Citadel?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
With the maces.
Put an asterisk on
the glass candles.
I have thoughts.
Ooh, yes.
That's a good start right there.
And also how scary the Citadel actually looks outside when you look at the description of it.
I think it's a creepy place, and
I feel like there's skeletons all over the place.
Yeah, they kicked out Qyburn, but I feel like they did some shady stuff we don't know about. That they didn't want to advertise.
They're still doing shady stuff. Remember, it's run by the High Towers.
Yeah,
the High Towers are shady as fuck.
Yeah,
women aren't allowed in the Citadel, and that's why we got our girl Laris in there doing the thing. She had to sneak
The
in and get
screen.
that good knowledge.
Oh yes,
And
the moving
and
castles.
her uncle is down with it. You know, that's a plot point we need to add in there too.
Oh, he had her in there. He was like, she's up there playing her games.
Playing her games.
Playing her
He
games,
knows exactly
exactly.
what she's doing. That's why I think Doran is far more connected with the magic than people.
So I think that the magic discussion needs to be the magic and kind of a tie into the houses that are aware of each of those particular things that are going on.
Yes, ma'am.
We can do that next week. We can do that for sure next week. We can talk about the magic.
Starting with the Citadel. Yes.
Starting with the Citadel, yeah. I'm down for it. You down for it? You down for it? You down for it?
You and you.
Someone do Dexter. I think Tony actually did cover Dexter.
Yeah, somebody said correctly. That in there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did cover Dexter New Blood. Go on his channel.
Yes.
See, Jojen is getting dreams from future Bran. That's highly possible. There's a lot of things that people think are coming from future Bran, and some of them do seem plausible. There are some that make me laugh that I just look at like, nah, that's absurd. Like, you know, Tywin's horse taking a crap in front of Joffrey in the throne room because of Bran. I don't think that's Bran skin changing the horse.
Because of Bran?
That's a theory that I've read.
So Bran is petty now? He's
Bran is like, take that.
Come on, he's a northerner. You know, us northerners be petty sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Wow.
So Jackie C mentioned in the comments about Mira breathing mud and the moving castles of what is their house?
Yes, House Reed.
So that's a super amazing one that I think is a topic by itself that they gave us so little for, and I'm like, wait, why do they move? What are their skill sets?
Always focused in on that one thing when it comes to the people of the Neck.
Greywater Watch.
Why do their houses move? Greywater Watch. And let's say they don't live in castles like everybody else. They still have houses and these living dwellings. So how are these whole buildings floating across the swamp where lizard lions live? And lizard lions aren't these little alligators that you see in their sigil. If you look at the history and lore, they're these really huge lion-looking lizard things with weird tendrils that look like a lion's mane coming out of their face. They're really big and creepy and very dangerous looking. How are they not bothered by the people that live there? But they literally only attack people that are not from the Neck. It's like it's coded into their DNA. Like they know
the lore was saying that they had scales.
Outsiders.
Yeah.
Or well, not even outsiders, but they know to only attack people not of the North. It's so crazy. There's a lot going on at the Neck. Like I said, I have thoughts. And House Reed and the things that Howland can do. Like I literally have always thought Howland is some form of an earthbender. Because that story with him and Ned. Yeah, at the Tower of Joy.
How they bring down the whole tower? Nobody ever talked about that.
Broken tower. It's a broken tower, but it's not broken enough for two dudes to knock the whole thing down by themselves. So what was Howland doing, and why can't Ned remember what Howland did?
Yeah.
So not only is Howland an earthbender, but he's also got these otherworldly mind green seer powers that makes people forget things. Jojen can't do that. As far as we know, Bran can't do that.
True.
So what's so special about Howland that he can do all this extra stuff, but he's not a green seer fully like Bran is? I'm telling you, the magic of the North has fascinated me so much. And I've never talked about it because I've never had anybody to talk about it with. So I'm really glad.
We're here for you.
You invited me on here. Thank you.
The connections, the crypts, the ancestors.
Everything.
The werewolves.
All stems back to the North. All of this stuff. The North and Dorne.
The blood of the first men.
Really connected in the hidden magic that's there. It's so crazy to me that no one has talked so at all about this. Like, I mean, like bigger channels than me that have been putting theories out there forever. No one's
Well, you
really
got
touched
to
on
do
this
it.
stuff.
You're about
And
to
I'm
do
over
it.
here sitting like, hello, y'all. Y'all don't see this stuff that I'm seeing right here?
Because it's embedded in the story as a small piece or like lore, but we keep seeing things come to be. Like just like they were talking
and it
about
keeps
dragons once
tracking,
existed.
yeah.
And then
It
dragons
keeps
showed up.
tracking,
They
it
talked
all
about
leads
dire
to these
wolves.
little things.
Yeah. Like thousands of years, no one saw a dire wolf and they just pop up. And no one thought that was odd and magical.
Nobody
It's
thought
like
that was odd.
5
Like,
kids,
we
5
had that
wolves.
one little blurb. Ned says, we haven't seen a dire wolf south of the wall in nearly 100 years. But the Starks still have those huge cages in their kennels because, hello, those cages were never for dogs. They were for dire wolves because they used to breed them all the time. So what happened? Why did they stop?
Yep.
The maze makers. The maze makers that have had all of those mazes under the high tower that Bran the Builder supposedly built over. Why were those things there? There's so much. There's so much that goes back to the North, man.
Jackie C said Kat thought it was odd. And Kat was also, as much as I couldn't stand her being a hateful stepmother, she was very intuitive. Like she realized the kind of like prophecy of those, deer, the antlers and the stag running into the wolf and killing it. Like there was a lot of people that picked up on that. And she was like, something's off about this. And then when the dire wolf saved Bran, she knew there was some connection there. She didn't say it's magic, but she was like, they should never not have their wolf with them ever again.
Yeah.
You know what really pissed me off about Catelyn is because she did see that shit and she ignored the bigger picture. Before Ned even left and they were talking about it and he was saying something about Mance Rayder, she said, there are more dangerous things in the North to worry about than Mance Rayder. Bitch, what the fuck you mean? What do you know is going on north of the wall besides the wildlings and Mance Rayder? And you not talking to your husband about this? Why do you know this? Why do you even know this stuff? No, and I don't think she was talking about the dire wolves.
I never noticed that.
I think she was talking about the other extracurricular things in the magics going on north of the wall. But again, this is why I always take it back to the blood when it comes to these magic families. Because Catelyn is House Went. House Went goes back to House Lawston. And we know who's famous in House Lawston. Mad Lady Lawston, who was supposedly also a very powerful skin changer that dealt in blood magic. Why do you think the Stark kids are so powerful? You got the bloodline of House Lawston through Catelyn and all of the magic of the North through Ned. And they had like these 5 babies. What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah. The powers combined.
Exactly. This
and I guess to tie into the magic stories, I think there was a reason why House Tully wanted to marry House Stark, because it was like, the next brother, he's dead. Okay, then marry his brother. We're still gonna make this happen.
Look,
Hoster was aware of a lot more.
Hoster wasn't scheming.
Yeah,
he absolutely was scheming.
The schemes were strong, and it's interesting because it works out later when they need to be allies. You know, I don't have the map in front of me, but like the proximity of river runs to the north. They're not super close. They have whole different cultural norms, but they made that happen.
Yep. And you know what? It's one thing that's never talked about in the books, but I've always thought, because my brain always goes into fan fiction with these stories. You know, the Dornish with their they have their quote unquote royal families, their nobles, and then the regular folks that don't really give a fuck about too much. And then there's the Ironborn, same set of people, the pirates that love the old way and blah, 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 blah. And then there's others that are just tired of the nonsense. You got the House Aaron and all those nobles over there. Then the mountain folks that are there, but they still don't care about this nobility. They're still low-key in First Men mentality. And there's the North. And they have their noble houses, and they still keep to some of the old ways sometimes. But then again, the wildlings, and then there's other folks that are spread out around that just look at them like the people of Skagos. They just be looking at everybody else, like, like they recognize the rule, but they don't really care that much about it unless the ruling family comes to see them for something.
Yeah.
Which is smart on Ned, why he goes and actually makes sure to cultivate those friendships and relationships to keep those people loyal to him. So they also know that he's looking out for them still too. All of those, you look at all those factions, and had those factions come together at any different point in time throughout anything and any opposition that would have happened, they would have all ruled Westeros completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they all have very similar outtakes on life and how they started and even where they are now and where they want to go. Especially like the Ironborn, Dorne, and the North. I've just always thought they would make like the three greatest allies if they actually could get over their bullshit.
Yeah. Can I suggest a future topic, Spinksy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I lost it that fast. Dang, Alicia, you were on a roll. You just hit a button.
I'm sorry.
I think I was thinking of why were the Dornish allowed to retain their royal titles when the Ironborn weren't? And some of these, like the breakings of the Seven Kingdoms, and who got to have power and why, and who got, like, the Greyjoys never got to call themselves king or prince, but we have the Prince of Dorne, like the Prince of Dorne pulling up to King's Landing and being called the Prince of Dorne. Like, I know the history has a long story to it, but it's interesting to dissect why some houses were not allowed to retain their honors and some were.
And some were.
Yeah, that's a good topic. Put that in the book.
Yes, I already jotted it down.
Asterisk next to that. Why are the Mormont girls the only ones able to carry their house name instead of Snow?
So what now?
Why are the Mormont
Mormonts
girls the only bastards? They should all be Snows. Mage was never married. Who's their daddy?
Tormund Giantsbane.
Okay, but Tormund ain't no noble or no anything in Westeros. That's what I'm saying. They should all be Snows.
Okay, Mormont bastards? Question mark. Why are they?
Like, I understand why Mage was able to run that house and why she's recognized as the ruler of that house, but why were her daughters not named Snow?
That is a good
That's
one.
always baffled me. Daisy was the first. Why is she? And Daisy's the only one that doesn't really resemble the others. Alysanne and all the rest of them seem to look more like Mage, but Daisy is described as being very different in body type than Alysanne and Mage.
She wasn't a strapping young lad. Let me stop. No, the women of Bear Island, they deserve their own episode as well. Like, absolutely. They fought for the North like nobody's business. Their men were all gone wherever the hell they were. Yeah. There was no men. Like, after Jorah bounced,
they off fishing,
daddy, like nobody hunting. There. Yeah, they were just holding it down.
Yep.
And fighting like true warriors.
Had a baby in one hand and an axe or a sword or a hammer in the other.
Yep.
Or if you were a mage, you had a spike.
There's part of me that is so curious, like if I could meet George R.R. Martin, and I truly believe he has a lot of respect for women, the way that he writes some of these stories. I'm just like,
facts.
There's so many strong women characters. There's your regular Cerseis who are like, they think more of themselves than they are smart, in my opinion. But then there's like the Mormonts and like history, Nymeria, like people conquering and taking over and bucking the system. And I love that.
The ones who really get in there and get their hands dirty.
They have like good strategy and good tactics, and they're even possibly good leaders to some point, as much as the world will let them be.
Right.
It's a very, very dynamic world.
Indeed. And that's all I had. I'm sorry I went off on that weird magical tangent. It just there's a lot of things in this story that happen.
It happens. But we're gonna circle back. We're gonna wrap it up.
Yes, please.
It's been a strong hour and some change.
20 minutes.
You guys have any last thoughts you want to say?
I can't wait to see Rhaenyra come through and wreck shop next season. I don't know how it's gonna start or what part we're gonna start at, but I know there will be blood.
Blood will spill. Blood
I
and
am
fire.
ready to see
Fire and
Rhaenyra
blood.
pop off.
Yes.
It's well deserved. They killed her baby boy.
Dude. Oh.
Her
I
baby
wish
baby.
somebody would kill my son.
Honestly, she shouldn't have
I'd
sent
be in
him out
jail
there.
right now.
She should
Literally.
not. She shouldn't have sent them out there.
She shouldn't have. That was very. I
But
wasn't excited
also
when
the
it was.
Greens did the
That
same
was
thing. Like
supposed.
they sent Aemon, they were sending sons
Yeah,
out
but
too.
they had the throne. By all accounts, they had the throne. Nobody was going to do that to the freaking
And
throne.
Aemon was older. Aemon was older, and I think of a better mind for politics.
And
If
obviously not
Aemon
a
hadn't
bastard.
been there, it would have been fine.
Right, and like you said, Candace, yeah, obviously not a bastard.
There's that part where they were like, we don't know how
No,
this is going to go.
Also
Yeah.
that,
Succession's
yeah.
all
You
effed
should-
up.
If you send Lucerys anywhere, send him with some guards, or send Rhaenys to the Baratheons so she could deal with her punk ass cousin.
Basically, she had the stronger tie to that house, and I just don't feel like that decision. I know something had to be the catalyst for her to pop off on next season, but
Yeah,
that was just not a smart move to send such young, unseasoned boys who were obviously not Targaryens to anybody's visual eye to do that in politics for her. It was only sending a signal that here's how weak my claim is. Look, I don't have strong descendant line. What did we say? The succession was messed up by them, depending on what you believe.
True.
So that was it was a bad decision, and I'm sure she'll learn from it, and it was a sad way to learn it, because I just hated to see that happen. But I love to see how they couldn't control the dragons.
Yes, that was so good.
Yeah.
I was like,
That
yep,
was
weapons
so
of mass
good.
destruction, anyone?
Like to see how much Aemon low-key panicked, like, oh shit. Like,
They were
yeah,
going,
we're
obey me.
Rhaegar, no.
Obey me. Yep.
that can think
He
for
wasn't even
itself.
speaking High Valyrian anymore. He was just talking basic English.
He's
He was like,
no,
Rhaegar, no,
Rhaegar, no,
obey
no,
me.
chill.
Yeah, no, no,
Rhaegar
no.
was like, nah. Did you see him come
Rhaegar
out
was
and blow
like,
that
nope,
fire
I'm
in
about to
my
bite
eye?
this
Nah.
bitch.
He got to pay
I'm
for
about
that.
to pull him up.
Rhaegar
All right,
wasn't
let's get out
having
of here.
Yes,
I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for joining us. This has been a splendid time. Come back next Sunday where we will have a new discussion, topic to be determined.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Thank y'all. We're out of here. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Always bet on black.